Hey guys, welcome back to Shutterbug Club. I'm your host, Sue. I really want to start off this episode by sharing something inspiring. I hope you'll find it inspiring. So, the moment you stop worrying about what people think of you is the moment your life begins to change. And if you find yourself feeling kind of anxious or afraid to do things, to take action, that action that you know is going to make a change, then this could be because of the spotlight effect, which the spotlight effect is basically just where we think people are paying more attention to us than they actually are. But the truth is, most people are way too focused on themselves to be paying attention to what you're doing. So your freedom really begins when you realize that nobody is thinking about you, and that sounds kind of harsh, but really it's such a great thing, and it really is so freeing when you realize this. And I try and remind myself of this all the time because I get really anxious, like socially anxious, and I just have a lot of anxiety. So this is something that has been really helpful for me, especially like as someone who creates content and puts myself out on social media. It has been a challenge. So maybe the spotlight effect could be holding you back from posting that reel on social media because you're afraid your family or friends or anybody who knows you is going to see that reel that you share on social media, because maybe that reel is going to flop. And so you're afraid because you think your family's going to see it. And you're going to feel embarrassed because they're going to think like, oh, that's so embarrassing. Why are they doing this? And like that, I mean, some people might think that, but those people don't matter. But really, they're only going to think that for a second, and you're not going to stay on their mind. So don't let that hold you back from sharing what you want to share, especially if you're a photographer trying to build a business, because I know I struggled with that too. So don't let that hold you back. It could also be holding you back from launching an online course or like selling a preset, just launching anything, creating anything that you want to sell. Because I know this is something I want to start doing more of, but it can be scary because you're like, what if nobody wants to buy it? What if I create this course that I think is going to be so amazing and nobody wants to buy it? But that's okay. You don't need to worry about what people are going to think of you if nobody's interested in what you have to offer, because you're trying and you're putting yourself out there. And it's almost like embarrassing to put yourself out there and try on social media. People think it's embarrassing, but when you succeed, which you will if you keep doing it and learn from these mistakes, then everything is going to be worth it. Which it's funny because it is weird to start putting yourself out there online and to have people see the stuff you're posting, especially people who know you. And it's funny too, because when I created this podcast, my mom said something to me. She said, it sounds awful, but let me explain. She said, I'm embarrassed about your podcast, but she didn't mean it in a bad way. It was just kind of funny because I'm like, yeah, it's kind of embarrassing. It's kind of funny because I'm putting this out there where anyone can see it. And I have this girl who I went to school with who's kind of like a family friend, and she's seen my mom and she's like, oh yeah, Sue's making a podcast. And my mom realized like, okay, some people around here actually do listen to this and hear this, but my mom listens to my podcast all the time and she loves it. So she wasn't trying to say like my podcast is really bad and embarrassing, but just literally putting yourself out there is kind of embarrassing, especially if you don't feel like it's the person people know you as. Because like for me, I have always been super shy, so when I started putting myself out there, I was so afraid of what people were going to think of me, because I'm like, they don't know me as this person who speaks and puts myself out there, because I've just been so quiet. Nobody knows me. And so that was really hard. It's also hard to start putting yourself out there because you want things to be perfect, right? You want that social media video to be perfect before you share it out there because you don't want it to flop. Or if you're creating a course or any kind of online product, you really want it to be perfect. But stop worrying about perfection. Stop worrying about what people are going to think when you put it out there, and just put something out there and learn from it, because that is how you're going to make change. That's how you're going to build momentum and just really create the life you want to create. When you're first starting something as entrepreneurs, it's so important to fail, honestly, to create things that fail and learn from them and try, and taking risks, like little risk, little reward. You have to put yourself out there in order to grow. Another thing I find myself being afraid of because of the spotlight effect is photographing strangers. This is something that terrifies me, but also something that I find so fun and interesting and that I really want to do more of, but I get scared there's this creator who photographs strangers all the time. She has a really large social media platform. I think her name is Kara Lewis. Kara. I think it's Kara Lewis. I feel bad if that's wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And she's so inspiring because she just tells these stories of strangers who she randomly finds and goes and captures them. And this is something I really want to do more of, but I start getting in my head and I start worrying, what are they going to think of me? What are people around me going to be thinking of me? Just like taking pictures. I don't know. I get really nervous, but it's something I want to do more of, and I'm trying to get out of my head so that I can do it because I think it'd be so fun. And I just love watching that kind of content, and I want to impact somebody's life like that. So the way that I've learned to get around this spotlight effect is to stop thinking about myself. To really just stop thinking about, oh, what are people going to think about me? But to put that focus on the other person. Like, how can I really impact somebody else? How can I really give them such a memorable experience that is so fun, and maybe they've never even had photos like that before, and you can just really give them something so special. That's something I love as a photographer, being able to give people, especially like my family and friends, this thing that is truly so special and that most people don't actually get to experience in their life. So when you find yourself being anxious, afraid, find yourself in this trap of the spotlight effect, where you're so worried what people will think of you, instead of thinking, what will people think of me, shift your mindset to asking, how can this impact someone else? So like with a social media reel you're trying to create, maybe this reel is educational and maybe you're like speaking to the camera. So yeah, it's kind of embarrassing, but this reel might impact another photographer or a client and really help them out. And same with a course. This course that you're creating or online product, if you want to put something out there, it could truly impact somebody else. So stop worrying about what people are going to think of you. Stop worrying about if you're going to fail and start thinking about how can you impact other people. Okay, so today we have really just a fun episode. I'm going to read some photography story submissions that I got from social media. I just got back from Belize a few days ago, so I'm really still kind of in relax mode, trying to catch up on everything and get back into the groove of working. So we're going to have a fun episode. I'm going to read some stories that got submitted, and then after that I'll talk about my Belize trip a little bit and some life updates. I'm going to share something I'm struggling with and something I'm excited for. So starting off with the photography submissions, I asked the question, what is the craziest thing that has ever happened at a photo shoot? So the first one says, almost got arrested like 3 times, LOL. And that's all the information she said. And I was like, wait, I need to know more what happened. And then she commented again and said, long story short, don't go on private property for pictures. Someone will call the cops. This is hilarious, which I've done this probably way too many times, and not with clients. I don't really do this with clients, but if it's just like me and a friend, we'll kind of like, yeah, it's bad, whatever. But I've never had the cops called on me. That's crazy. 3 times too. Wow. Okay, next one. I used to be a wedding photographer. To speed up the story, some guy came in from the street in baggy jeans. I used to be a wedding photographer. To speed up the story, some guys came in from the street in baggy jeans, white tank tops, crashed the reception. Everyone was dancing, so it took a minute to notice the crashers started dancing and drinking the alcohol. Groomsmen noticed and asked them to leave. Crashers swing for a punch. Groomsman ducked and was missed, but somehow the bridesmaid behind him ended up pushed to the floor, bloody nose. Reception basically turns into a mosh pit, and I run out with all my equipment and call the cops and wait outside because I have no idea what I'm supposed to do right now, but I'm not getting my camera stolen. Okay, wow, that is crazy. That's also so disrespectful though for the bride and groom, and that really sucks because I know people spend a lot of money on weddings, and for people, random people, to just come in and start dancing and drinking your alcohol, yeah, I would be mad. And then to go even further and start fighting, wow. Okay, moving on to the next story. My client snapped her leg after our shoot. About a 10-minute walk in the bush and up a hill, I had to lay with her in the darkness until help arrived, and I slid her down the hill on a piece of plastic. Strangely, a group of attractive firemen came, and I think she forgot about the pain for a while. Okay, that's crazy. Your client snapped her leg. I'm so curious what your client is doing to snap her leg. Like, did you at least get a cool photo? I mean, was it for the photo? That's crazy. But honestly, such a good story to be able to tell. I mean, I hope your client's all right and everything healed good, but that's kind of a really funny story, and I love that one. One time, while I was shooting, a baby rattlesnake curled around my client's diaper bag. She was fully prepared to leave the bag, but their car keys were in it. Okay, yeah. That's crazy that the car keys were in it, so you couldn't leave it. That's also terrifying though. I know there's so many rattlesnakes around where I live too. And yeah, that's something I definitely need to be cautious of, shooting in like longer grass or around rocks. Luckily, I've never seen one, knock on wood, but I mean, I have seen one, just not at a photo shoot. It sounds like everything went okay when you went to grab the diaper bag though, because there's not more to the story, so thankfully. Camera broke like 5 minutes into session. It would still take photos, but wouldn't let me change the settings, so I took what I could and prayed they were savable. Ooh. Thankfully, they were savable. Okay, good. And I never even had to say anything. Okay, wow, that's crazy. So unfortunate, but also fortunate that you got to save the photos. I'm really curious how your camera broke. Okay, I'm actually gonna reply to this comment right now on Instagram and ask, how did your camera break? What happened? Okay, I said, wait, that's crazy. Did you fix your camera? What was wrong with it? Okay, I just commented that. Gear malfunctions are so terrifying, especially if you don't have a backup. Like, ugh, that's just the worst feeling in the world. Client told me there was a bear behind me. Luckily, it just ran off into the woods. Okay, crazy. Also scary. That's another one I'm surprised I haven't encountered. I'm always terrified because I go up into the mountains all the time and there are bears and like mountain lions around here, and I always hear of bear attacks and sometimes mountain lion attacks and stuff, and so I'm always terrified of that. That's why I bring like a taser. I bring a taser with me. I actually have a walking stick that is a taser at the end of it that my dad got me for photo shoots for going out into the woods and stuff, and I highly recommend. I've never had to use it, but it really just makes me feel so much safer knowing I have something. I'm not a photographer, but my wedding photographer gave us colored smoke bombs to hold up for some shots. She called out for me to walk down the patio stairs and throw the smoke bomb. Wait, what? She called out for me to walk down the patio stairs and throw the smoke bomb. Well, instead of throwing it away from me, I threw it behind me on the train of my wedding dress. Oh no. I got to the bottom and I literally reeked of bonfire. Yeah, smoke bombs stink. Okay. Where it had burnt through my dress. The wedding photographer was almost in tears, but it honestly didn't bother me. It made for a funny story though. I remember walking back into the marquee. Okay, I don't know what that word is, sorry. And my brother saying, "Why can I smell smoke?" Okay, first of all, I've never heard of somebody throwing a smoke bomb. The ones that I use, you just hold on to them and then the smoke comes out, so I'm really confused by that part, but honestly, you are amazing for being such a good sport about this. I actually have a few smoke bomb stories that I could share, which as a photographer, it's just terrifying, your worst nightmare for something bad to happen to your client. And so the fact that you were so understanding, and about your wedding dress, I would probably be in tears too if I was that photographer. Like, I would feel so bad just trying to get a cool photo, but it is a great story, and honestly, props to you for being so understanding, and honestly, I just love that type of client. So, you would be my type of client. But I actually did smoke bombs during my wedding too, but we just held on to them. We got a photo with all of my wedding party walking with them, and when you do smoke bombs, sometimes little pieces will like fall out of them, and so a few little like ash pieces did fall on a few of the wedding party's clothing, which was unfortunate, but nothing really too damaging, just little tiny spots that I don't know if it comes out or not. I actually didn't get any on my wedding dress, but let me tell you about the first time that I ever did a smoke bomb, because probably everything that could have went wrong. Luckily, it wasn't with a client, it was just a friend who I liked to do a lot of photo shoots with. So, first of all, when she opened the smoke bomb, you have to pull this little tab to kind of ignite the smoke bomb. And when she did that, the smoke bomb was like facing her. And one thing I didn't know is flames shoot out of the end of it when it first lights. And she was just like moving it around, smoke was coming out, but also flames were coming out, and it actually singed her hair. Like, her hair got burned. And of course, the first smoke bomb that I do malfunctions, so they actually can overheat and become very dangerous. They actually can like start a fire. This one didn't start a fire, but it got very hot, and she did not tell me. I had no idea it was overheating in her hands, and she just kept holding it, and I had no idea, and it literally burned her hand. She showed me afterwards, and her hand had a burn mark on it from holding onto the smoke bomb, and I felt so bad because I didn't tell her like she could set it down. So yeah, she burnt her hair, she burnt her hand, and we got some really awesome photos. Like, I could not even tell she was in pain because she had her model face on, like she was serving. But yeah, luckily, I'm honestly thankful that that happened because now I know how to safely use a smoke bomb. I always tell my clients, never point it at yourself. And especially, just like what I said at my wedding, how the sparks can fly down. If you always have it tilted slightly away from you, then those will typically just shoot away from you and not get on you. So I've done a ton of smoke bombs, and I now know how to use them safely, but yeah, there's probably way too many horror smoke bomb stories out there. I was hiding to take proposal photos in Yellowstone. I was up above them on a hill while they were down on the beach. Right when he was about to propose, a grizzly bear walked towards them. Okay, terrifying. They slowly backed away, and as soon as they got a safe distance away, he proposed right on the spot. I still got the shot. Okay, that is an incredible story. Another bear story, which is crazy. The fact that he still proposed and didn't let it ruin the moment, that is such a great story to tell. Like, best proposal story I've heard, actually, and the fact that you caught it, I'm very curious, did you get the bear? Like, I would imagine if you got them proposing with like the bear in the background. That would be so funny. I was doing a family shoot at some sand dunes. They were on top of one dune and I was on top of the other when I see them start making faces and covering 2 out of 3 of their kids' ears and shouting at me. My bag and Bluetooth speaker was behind them just over the rise of the dune, so it couldn't be seen in the photos, but they could hear the fun family music. But by the time I got to the other dune, the playlist had finished, and it had just gone back to what I was listening to on the way to the shoot. An episode of, oh no, an episode of Case File True Crime. Oh, okay. It was at the part describing the extremely detailed and horrific way a woman died. Oh no. That is terrifying for the children. Wow, what a traumatizing photo shoot experience. I would be so embarrassed. But also, I love listening to true crime, but at the same time, I hate it. I cannot listen to too much because it seriously affects me. I'm like, okay, I cannot be thinking about this, but that stuff is so fascinating. But those poor kids. Wait, you also listen to true crime on the way to your photo shoot, though? That's kind of funny. No judgment. I was shooting a couple in the park and had a random drunk guy literally run up mid-photo shoot and start swinging at my male client because he thought a pose I had them in was a threat to him. Okay, long story short, cops were called, dude got arrested, and the shoot was rescheduled. Oh, that's so sad you had to reschedule the shoot. I hate that. So many of these I feel like are drunk people, like the wedding crashing one, when there's alcohol involved. That seriously sucks. I hate, honestly, when people think it's funny to come up to photographers and like interrupt their photo shoot, or I mean, it's fine if they just do it for a second. Some of them are harmless, you know, but the ones that aren't like this, it's so annoying because you're literally just trying to do your job and be very professional. And that's also kind of up to you as the photographer to shoo them away, especially like me, because I photograph a lot of seniors. I'm not going to let my senior handle that. So it's up to me to shoo away the random people, and it's just so annoying. But you really just have to make the most out of those situations because they happen. Okay, this one says, okay, I have 2. Number 1, my boyfriend comes with me to assist when we shoot up in the mountains, and we were doing a large family shoot Long story short, the grandpa liked him a lot and kept talking about getting a picture with him, putting it on the family photo wall, and writing him into the will. Okay, wow. I honestly could not tell if he was kidding or not until we were leaving. I'm still not 100% sure. That is so funny. Okay, it sounds like your boyfriend is a great person to bring along to photo shoots. I love that so much. I'm curious, did they end up getting a photo with him? Like, was he in the family photo? Okay, and then number 2, I took a photo trip to Moab, Utah with some of my friends when we were in high school. The whole trip was kind of crazy considering we were all between ages of 16 and 18. The craziest part, though, was one of my friends being in an aircast boot. I can't remember exactly, but she had either recently fractured it or was fresh out of surgery on her arch. I warned her that we would be camping and hiking, and she insisted on going. And I don't mean, oh, we're gonna hike around near the campsite. No, we went on a full 3-mile hike that crossed back and forth through a small river to get to this waterfall. Not a beginner's hike whatsoever. She was also the only person with a bag besides me. Could not tell you why. So she had everyone's phones and car keys and snacks, and this girl fell in the river. Oh no. She had to carry her boot back because it was so waterlogged, and I felt so bad. Definitely one of those I told you so moments. Now we're best friends. Aw, I love the ending of that. That is so cute. That's funny. I know exactly which waterfall you're talking about too. And yeah, that's not an easy hike. I mean, I feel like I know which waterfall it is. That's like a true moment of anything for the photo. She literally would do anything for the photo. Did she take the boot off for photos though? I'm curious if she had it on in the pictures. She probably had it off since she had to carry it back anyways. Oh my Okay, I just read ahead. Wait, this one is so funny. Had my client stand under a tree and a squirrel peed on her. I honestly have no words. That's crazy. I've never seen a squirrel pee either. What? That's funny. I'm curious if it was like at the beginning of the photo shoot. Did you finish out the photo shoot with squirrel pee? Like, yeah, I can Photoshop that out. Don't worry. Okay, I'm switching over to TikTok because I also posted this video on TikTok, so we'll see what responses we got on there. Okay. A mom pre-gamed and drank the entire time during her daughter's session, fell out of the car when she got home, did not drive, thank God. Wow, that's sad. That is sad. Senior photos are so special. I mean, I guess it depends on like the dynamic of the family, because maybe the daughter didn't really care and maybe they're just like not a super serious family, but I feel like that's kind of sad and just not really the place to be drinking. But yeah, that's crazy. Okay, dad was feeding his 1-year-old chopped steak out of an empty beer cup. Okay, this is so funny. Honestly, Ava Grace Photography, I'm just gonna shout you out. She was on the podcast a few weeks ago, and that's who just submitted this one, and I'm not even surprised. Like, of course, that's something that would happen during one of your photo shoots. That's so funny. Fell backwards over a tree branch into a stream, dropped my gear, got a concussion. Okay, wow. Was your gear okay, though? Just kidding. I'm actually more concerned about you. Are you okay from your concussion? And then is your gear okay? Oh no. Okay, a bug flew down my throat and I puked for the first 10 minutes of the session. Ew. That is the worst feeling. I've swallowed way too many bugs, especially because I go biking with my mom all the time and you're like breathing in through your mouth, right? And it just happens. I don't know if it's just me, but it happens. And I know that feeling. That's disgusting. It's also awful when they get in your eyes. Bugs are just, ugh. Wow. I hope your client wasn't there for the first 10 minutes when you're just throwing up, but I would definitely be doing that too. While in a wheat field, a mouse ran across my foot, walking in the grass with a senior boy, and a snake came out of a hole with a mouse. Whoa, okay, that's crazy. The mouse ran across your foot, probably running from that snake with the other mouse. Okay, yeah. You really need to be careful of wildlife during photo shoots. That's crazy. But honestly, the snake is more scary than the mouse. Like, because the snake could just come up and bite your ankles and you wouldn't even know it's there. That's terrifying. Okay, and then the last one just says, fell backwards into a lake. Did you have your camera gear on you? Like, ooh, I'm sorry. But also, great story. Unless your thousands of dollars of camera gear got ruined, then that kind of sucks and is not worth it. But yeah, okay. Thank you for everyone who submitted those. That was so fun reading. So now just a few life updates. I just got back from Belize, which is crazy. It was so much fun. It was basically my husband's and my honeymoon, which if you've listened to my first ever podcast episode, we got married about 3 years ago, but we never took a honeymoon because like financially it was just really hard. So we decided to wait. So we finally got to take it, but we invited both of our families, so it was just like this really big trip, and it was so much fun. My favorite thing was snorkeling. I love snorkeling. I love water, the ocean, and I got to check one of my bucket list items off. I have wanted to swim with sharks forever. Like, ever since I was little, I just remember wanting to swim with them, and so we went to this place called Shark and Manta Ray Alley, I think is what it's called, something like that, and we got to snorkel with them, and the captain of the boat like fed them before we hopped in the water, so there was a whole bunch of them, like a whole swarm of sharks, and they spread away pretty fast, so it actually wasn't scary at all. It was so cool. The manta rays were a little bit scarier than the sharks, actually. They were huge and came really close. Probably the craziest thing that happened on the trip though is my brother got bit by an eel. He was like swimming around some rocks, and he loves looking for little critters and stuff, so he was probably more in the rocks than he should have been. But yeah, he just felt something bite his finger. He didn't actually see it, but his finger is bad. Like, I think it's his middle finger, yeah, and the whole front of it has a bite like 2 inches big, and then the back of it too, it almost like ripped off. And the people who were at the beach were like helping us wrap it and take care of it and stuff, and they said that it looked like an eel bite, and that had happened to one of them before too, so luckily my brother was fine and nothing really crazy. He got a great story out of it. He was such a trooper too. Like, my brother he's actually about to be a senior, which is crazy. He is, I want to say 17 years old. And I asked him how bad it hurt, and he said it hurt like a stubbed toe. So I was like, okay, you're brave and strong, because I guarantee that hurts more than a stubbed toe. And then another really cool thing we did was we went cave tubing. So it was down a river. We had to walk through the jungle to get to this river. And then we went tubing down the river through caves. And so it was completely dark. We had to have like headlamps on with lights in order to see. And it was like a guided tour, so that was really cool and interesting, fun to do. Okay, moving on, I'm gonna share with you one thing I'm struggling with and one thing I'm excited for. So one thing that I'm struggling with more in the past, I feel kind of good about it right now, but still it's a struggle, and it probably always will be at some point, but it's money. I really burnt myself out last year, and at the end of the year I had no money. I was like, I'm working so hard, where is it all going? And so I really just felt like something needed to change. I'm like, what is going on? How do people make this work? I need to change and figure out how people actually make money, because I'm like, I know it's possible. And I feel like I made good money, you know. I paid all my bills and everything until winter. Wintertime was kind of hard because I didn't put any money away. So I have been just really learning about money, learning how to manage my money, learning how to manage it in my bank account, like allocating money to different bank accounts every month, which has been super helpful. I'm reading Profit First for that, which I will talk about it once I finish it, but that has been extremely helpful. And also just learning more about how to make more money. So I've been learning a lot about money mindset, and it's so crazy that the number one thing that will help you make more money, like the number one skill you can have, is the ability to communicate value, because budgets aren't real. Like, people say they have budgets, but really it's not real. If you are really good at communicating value, which that can also be taken as like being a salesperson, being salesy, but really it's not salesy. When you learn how to do it the right way, you're truly just communicating and showing people what the value is of this thing that you're offering. And yeah, budgets don't exist. like people say things are expensive, but people will spend so much money on the craziest things. And so one thing I'm trying to get into my mind is really just rewiring this mindset around money and around what is expensive, because I've always been so afraid of being called like an expensive photographer. But now I see that really as I am providing so much value and I'm giving my clients an incredible experience. And so I just need to get better at communicating the value of that and showing them really everything they are taking away from the photo shoot. Let me share a pin example. I was watching this YouTube video and the guy in the video was explaining the way you communicate value. And he was giving a speech with a room of people, and he picked up a pin on somebody's desk and he asked, "How much would you pay for this pin if you found it at a garage sale, like a yard sale, garage sale?" And people said like 5 cents, right? It's just a pin and it's just 5 cents. Okay. And then he said, "Okay, how much would you pay for this pin?" I don't remember where exactly he said, but basically at somewhere like the mall, you know, like Ross or even TJ Maxx, I don't know, like Walmart even, like if you found this pin and now it's in a package, it's on the shelf with a price next to it, you would probably expect that price to be like, I don't know, $5. And then the last one was, "Okay, and now how much would you pay for this pin if it was inside a glass case with a light shining on the pin, and in order to get to this pin, you had to put on white gloves and open this case?" Something like that, right? And that's just basically talking about the difference between the experience around buying the pin, right? It's the exact same pin at the yard sale, at the Walmart store, or in the luxury case. The thing that changes is the experience around buying the pin. People will pay more for the experience because of the feelings they get out of the experience. Because people are driven by emotion. For purchasing things, emotion is such a driving factor. So if you can learn to communicate your value in a way that evokes emotion, you will be able to make so much more money. So this is what I have been struggling with, and this is what I'm really focusing on right now in my business. I'm basically rewiring my whole business. I'm changing my client experience. I'm changing my prices. I'm changing the way I communicate with my clients. And so far, I've seen really good results. And I will definitely share more on this once I get further into it. And hopefully I can talk about it more and give you some tips. But if you want to make more money, learn how to communicate value. Okay, and I'm actually going to share one other thing I've been struggling with. And it is my personal brand, like the brand that I present on social media and my brand as a photographer, which this kind of ties back to the beginning where I talked about the spotlight effect and really just being afraid of putting myself out there, afraid of what people will think of me. And so I've really been reflecting on what kind of content I would want to put out and how I want to show up on social media, really. And I've been focusing on being more authentic, I guess you could say. Not that I was ever not authentic, but I'm definitely learning how to accept my imperfections a lot more, constantly focusing on self-improvement and growth, but I'm being okay with not being perfect. And so this means being okay with a video flopping, right? I am just sharing with you who I am, and I know that that will attract the right people, but this is something that I have been terrified of, really, is just worrying about what people think of me. And so, just like what I talked about earlier, I have tried to make my videos perfect. Even videos where I show my insecurities, I feel like even those are tailored to look more perfect. Like, I've shared this a lot with self-portraits, the way I struggle with self-portraits, but even there, I feel like I could just show really more of who I am, I guess. And so this is something that I've been focusing on social media. I've been doing it on my stories a little bit. I feel like just really showing up as I am and realizing that I'm not perfect and that's okay. Because I used to want to be this very polished, like every day I have a cute outfit on, every day my hair looks so good, which I love fashion and I feel so good when I'm in a cute outfit. And yes, I'll probably be posting more when I'm in a cute outfit, but that is not me every day. And so I'm really just trying to show up as I am and to be truly authentic and just really focus on helping others and not thinking about myself as much on my platform, but also just posting what I want to post and what makes me happy. Because I've shared this on a different episode before with Michael, where when I get a ton of followers at once, I get very self-conscious and suddenly I don't want to post because I feel like there are such high expectations for me all of a sudden. And I feel like it's almost like if I get a video that flops or a post that flops, I'm an imposter, because it's like, okay, I have so many, whatever it is, eyes on my business. I feel like I should be getting more, and so I feel like I'm an imposter, and I start questioning things and wondering, well, am I good enough? Why don't people like this now all of a sudden? And I'm just really focusing on just being myself and not worrying about that stuff, because I've definitely been there where I didn't post a video that I liked, but I just thought it would flop and I was just too afraid to put it out there. But I really want people to get to know the real me. And that's honestly not something a lot of people have gotten to see, even a lot of like my family and friends who are closer to me, because I have always been so shy and so guarded, so afraid of really just having fun, honestly, because I have so much social anxiety. So what I'm working on right now is just not taking things so seriously, just realizing I'm human, I'm imperfect, and just having fun with it. Trying to have fun meeting new people and having conversations, because that has always been something that terrified me. And it's been great so far, honestly. I have felt more at peace taking on this mindset, and yeah, so that's something I've been struggling with. Now let's move on to something I'm excited about. So I got my model team together, my new model team, so excited. I have 11 girls this year. Okay, the biggest team I've ever had was last year, which was 6 girls, and I jumped to 11, so I'm like, oh man, okay, but it's gonna be so good. I'm so excited for this. And so we have our first event coming up in a couple weeks. It's a meet and greet barbecue. So this is going to be held at my parents' house. I love my parents so much. They help me with everything. They are always there for me when I need something. Like literally my car just broke down and my parents have just helped me so much. So anyways, off topic. I'm having this at my parents' house, and so they're going to be cooking on the grill, like cooking barbecue stuff, whatever, and then I'm going to have some fun activities and games, bonding, and just really getting to know the girls. I'm going to have some games planned for them, and then we're going to go eat some good food, and then we're going to have a evening sand volleyball game, because I have a sand volleyball court at my house, and I love volleyball. And so many of the girls on the team play volleyball, so I feel like that's going to be really fun, which I get a little bit nervous and anxious for these events, especially in the beginning of the year when nobody knows each other, because I just don't want things to be awkward. Just like I said, I get social anxiety, and I just really want everyone to have fun. So I am also a little bit nervous about that one, but I'm more excited. I'm excited to make this year so incredible for these girls, and I have just so much planned. So I'm excited for that, and I will keep you updated throughout the year on my model team. Oh, also, I don't think I ever shared on this podcast that my new website is live. So I have literally been putting a new website together for a year now, and it's finally live, and I love it so much. I am so happy with how it came out. So if you want to go look at that, it is sueshutterbug.com. And then lastly, I just want to reflect a little bit on this podcast, because really the reason I started this podcast was to push myself outside my comfort zone to get better at talking. And I am just so thankful and so amazed by the results I've seen. I have noticed my ability to speak better, more clearly, to have better conversations, especially like bringing guests onto the podcast. That is something that has helped me improve so much, and I never realized how amazing that would be for networking. And I literally get to find these people who inspire me, who I look up to, who have so much to offer in the industry, and I get to ask them whatever I want for an hour. I never really realized the value of that in starting a podcast, but it has been so amazing, and I'm just so thankful for everything that has come from starting this podcast, and I'm so thankful for each and every one of you who listen to this podcast, and seriously so thankful for the people who reach out to me, who have connected in one way or another with one of my episodes. That makes my day, my entire week. I am not kidding. It is like, it makes me so happy. Like, it is the best compliment you could give me, is saying that this podcast has helped you in some way, because it's just been so incredible to connect with all of you listening. So yeah, if you have liked this podcast, please go subscribe or leave a review. But honestly, even better than subscribing and leaving a review, send me a message on Instagram. I want to hear from you. I love connecting with other photographers, other entrepreneurs. It's just so fun. So yeah, I hope you found this episode inspiring, entertaining, educational, and I want you to remember, stop caring what people think of you and go do something that scares you to make that change you want to see in your life.